All righty, everyone. It's time for a very another special episode here on the Left of Straight Radio. It is time for Bent Cinema with our special correspondent, Nathan Box, all the way from over Washington State way. Nathan, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks for having me back, Scott.
I appreciate all you do. You are our movie guru. So if you guys missed our first episode, be sure to check the link down below. We had a fantastic movie, 26.2 to Life, a documentary about prison life that Nathan recommended for us last time. What's on the agenda for today, my friend?
Well, George Clooney is returning with another directorial movie. This one is The Boys in the Boat. It is a movie based on a book that was wildly popular here in the Seattle area, as you can imagine. The movie is set on a 1930s University of Washington rowing team. And sort of like their rags to riches sort of way they scale up the rowing universe, really challenging other more established universities here on the West Coast like Cal, and then eventually going up against some Ivy League schools and making it all the way to the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. This movie does not break a lot of ground as far as sports movies are concerned. The entire time I was watching this thing, I was really thinking about, like, remember the Titans. There is a formula to these sorts of movies, sort of ragtag group of people coming together, sort of defying all the odds, having a moment where everything looks like it might fall apart, and then sort of miraculously coming together in the end and sort of triumphing over everything that's before them. Despite its sort of the well-known formula that it follows, I still think this is a really great movie. I think it's directed really well. I think that it is acted really well for our audience in particular. Some of the best-looking human beings that you will ever see on the face of the planet. My Lord, every scene is just spectacular. But I think the thing that's sort of new here is that this is told through this perspective of the Depression as the backdrop of this film. It is sort of the thing that permeates throughout the film. As we make our way towards the Berlin Olympics, we sort of get this understanding of what is happening in Berlin. We do get to see Hitler show up at the Olympics. The Germans are the favorite team, our favorite crew to win. So I think those things are special and different here. I think it really does a great job of sort of introducing those of us who may not be familiar with the sport of crew to the sort of the mechanics of how the sport works and sort of different approaches to winning a race. I think it does a great job of doing all of that. It is a wholesome film. It is a family film in lots of ways. It is dropping on Christmas Day for a reason. It'll be an alternative to lots of other films that are out this time of year. And just talking to my friends around town here in Seattle, lots of them who went to the University of Washington, I hear lots of people talking about this movie. I assume lots of people read this book, and we are going to hear the well-worn cliche that the book was better than the movie. I myself did not read this book, so I can only judge it by the film itself and the story that it's trying to tell. And overall, I think it tells a pretty great, while well-worn, sort of known narrative. It does tell a great story, and I can't recommend it enough. I give it 4 out of 5 stars.
I thought it was pretty decent. Like I said, the same. I told you off air. I was lucky enough. I've been invited now to 3 little sneak press conferences for different movies recently, and this was one of the ones I got to talk to. And of course, George Clooney is just as fun in these things for a small group of critics as he is for Entertainment Tonight and things like that. Always very charming. They had George on as director. They had Grant Heslov, which is one of the producers. They had Joel Edgerton that plays the coach. Coach Al was there. Hadley Robinson plays the love interest, Joyce there. Then the lead, Callum Turner, that plays Joe Rance, was there. And they all had a great banter amongst themselves. I thought it was very interesting. Like you said, they really emphasize the depression area. I mean, when asked what the motivation for these guys were to do this, it's like food. They wanted to eat. They weren't eating anything, and this was a way for them to make some money because it really shows what those times were like. But I enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Callum Turner does a fantastic job in this film's the lead role, and we do get a sense of sort of the desperation that he is in. He's living in a camp in Hoovervilles, as they were called at that point in time, and it is his sole motivation for joining the crew is because there's a paycheck, and that is the thing that motivates him for a while. But then, that sort of congealing as a team and becoming together as a group and sort of overcoming impossible odds. No one thinks they can beat Cal. Cal's sort of the perennial favorite here on the West Coast. And then I absolutely don't think no one thinks they can overcome the Ivy League schools who were sort of, those kids are born with rows in their hands. And then just to sort of kind of make it to the Olympics, there is this really beautiful moment when they're getting ready to walk into the Olympic Stadium and they meet Jesse Owens. And Jesse talks about what it means for him to be there. That's a really beautiful moment that gave me goosebumps watching it. It's giving me goosebumps talking about it now. It's a really beautiful moment. Joel Edgerton is fantastic, as always in this film. He always delivers. So yeah, I liked it. I've said it a couple times. I think 30 years ago, this movie probably would have been you would have dropped this in December for some sort of Oscar contention. I think the days of that sort of this sort of film being nominated are probably long gone. But for families looking for something to watch this holiday season, I think this is probably the film that you can gather everyone together and go watch a movie.
Right. It comes out Christmas Day. Another interesting thing I learned in the press conference is, I tease about it on my Left of Straight show when I have actors on that happen to have resumes in their profiles. I always look for the special skills so I can bust their balls a bit on it. And they were talking about the casting of this, and they really were looking for athletic guys because they were training literally 2 months before this. Then they would shoot until 3 in the afternoon. And then when George and the girls, everything went back to their homes, these guys were back out in the water training from like till it got dark every night. So they really became together as a team through the training because they asked for athletic people. And if it said athletic people, they meant it in their thing because they didn't want to have to cut people. They wanted to make sure they got the right group. And as you said, there was some handsome men and they were all very athletic, but they learned the skill together doing the rowing because they had to learn how to row. They had to learn how to synchronize row. And they spent a strong 2 months beforehand, plus every day in the afternoon and early evening while filming, learning this. And they shot the races in sequence. So they kind of progressively got a little better as they went, which I thought was some smart storytelling as well.
They're in the water a lot, and just sitting on my couch watching this thing, it was physically exhausting. Like how much work they have to do. Just from the opening scene of like it may be 75 to 100 guys who come out to try to join the crew, and they're sort of like trying to whittle through who may be the best to be in the boat, and just their training alone made me tired. So I just can't even imagine spending 2 months trying to get ready for this film.
Another thing that kind of struck me is we're getting all of these English and foreign actors taking these lead roles. Both Callum and, of course, Peter Guinness, who's done so many great roles, are from London. We're seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing it in films. I don't know about the films you're seeing. A lot of these lead actors are coming from UK and beyond for that. We're not seeing a lot of American leads. I mean, there's still a lot, but there's a lot of films out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's this conversation that's happening in I think cinema, which is sort of like the death of the American movie star, and how that doesn't really have any cachet anymore. I think the days of just a Brad Pitt sort of person being in a movie and that being a guaranteed $100 million at a movie theater is, I think those days are probably gone. So I think that gives directors and lots of other people probably some more choices when it comes to casting their films. I see lots of Americans showing up in movies, throwing around accents as well. We love to go try to attempt a variation of the English accent. So I think it's probably a little give and take between us and our friends across the pond. But yeah, I see the same trend as well.
Yeah, very much so. Well, like I said, overall I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, we got a little sneak preview with this. We're filming this about a week and a half before it comes out to the public on Christmas Day. So there's no Rotten Tomato score. The critics so far have been pretty kind to it overall, I think. But what would you do on your scoring scale here on Bench Cinema?
Yeah, I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's great by any means. I don't think it's going to be in the Oscar conversation here in a couple of months. But um, I've heard from many of my friends here in the Seattle area who are talking about getting their families together around the holidays to go see this movie, and lots of them have obviously some tie back to the University of Washington, so there's some school pride there as well. But I've been sort of surprised with the number of friends who've reached out to me saying that they're getting their families together to watch this movie. So I think that's the ideal audience. Even if you aren't loading up with a crew of people, I think you'll really enjoy this movie. I think there's a lot of great sort of life lessons to pluck from it, and I think there's a lot of pride to be found, particularly in the Olympic racing scene against the Germans, particularly the Germans in that period of time. I think there's a lot of pride to be found in that moment. So if you're looking for something to sort of kind of beat your chest and make you fall in love with your country again, this is that sort of movie that'll do it for you.
Yeah, I bet when you have those kind of hometown feels, it always helps in those areas. I mean, I'm by no means a sports ball fan, so I mean, Field of Dreams is my go-to sports movie. It's about the only thing that I watch. But this was very very interesting. I mean, I don't know if I would have ever thought that Washington would have a rowing team in 1936. When you think rowing, you think Harvard and Princeton, all those places, right?
Right, yeah, and boy, you just brought up a wonderful tangent. I could talk about Field of Dreams all day long. That's probably the only
Mm,
sports movie I've ever given 5 out of 5 stars. It is just a fantastic movie.
love that.
Maybe someday in the future we'll talk about our mutual love of that film. But yeah, I love it. This movie, you will watch it and think of lots of other films. You will think of the Rudies of the world. You will think of, sort of any given Sunday, the program. You can just sort of go on and on. It's like a lot. It's like lots of other sports films. Maybe one day we'll get a sports film that sort of breaks this formula. It's a tried and true method at this point, but I don't think them going down this route of that they've chosen by any means takes away from the film.
Right. And I think, I mean, right now we're in a glut of films because it's getting to be award season. So I'm getting a lot of previews. You're getting a lot of previews and things. So eventually we will start to run out of new films to talk about. I think those will be good times to talk about some classic films that we both like and kind of go into those on future episodes. I think that would be a lot of fun. I also recently have had a couple of composers on, and I'm starting to get into the music more because that's never been my forte is knowing the music. And now I've had some composers of some National Geographic specials and some regular movies and some animated movies. And that's a whole new dimension I never really paid attention to before. So that's something I'd like to talk about with you one of these days down the line as well, because I never really had the appreciation for that before.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that a movie sort of sends me to, Apple Music or Spotify to like look up the soundtrack, I think the composition of the music behind a film is really good. The movie that did that for me this year was Oppenheimer. I just think it is beautifully composed. But yeah, I would love to have that conversation. I mean, we could do a whole episode about how Martin Scorsese uses music in movies. The guy, for a man in his 80s, still knows when to just place the perfect needle drop of a song or a score in a movie to sort of it becomes another character in the film. It brings so much emotion. So yeah, I would love to have that conversation.
We will definitely go there. I didn't get to see Oppenheimer in theaters. I just got sent the Blu-ray from my little entertainment associate, so I'm looking forward to throwing that onto the Chromecast and seeing it on the big screen of my TV at home. I also just got today, and we'll talk about off air what you want to choose next time. But today, when we're filming this today, Willy Wonka came out. He's got the screener for Willy Wonka, so I have to go sit in the theater. So I'm excited about that. And I also just got the screener today for Color Purple. I'm looking forward to, because I hear they changed the music for that around a lot for the film. So I'm interested to see that. So we'll see what's on your hit parade here for the next coming weeks, and we got lots to choose from, my friend.
Really, it's that time of year, but the desert of January and February is coming quickly. So yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy this time while we have it.
Definitely. Well, Nathan Box, thank you so much for being our special correspondent for films here on Bent Cinema and Left of Straight Radio. Remind everyone where they can find your fantastic website. We talked about before, you not only do movie reviews, you do blogs, you kind of do some essays, you also do some great photography work. Let everyone know where they can find you again, my friend.
Yeah, it is natetheworld.com, NATETHE.world.com, and then all social media handles are at Nate the World.
Fantastic. Guys, you can find all of our previous things we talked about with Nate and our regular Left of Straight shows on the Left of Straight Radio website, www.leftofstraightradio.com. We do have Nathan's email address back up and running, so Nathan at leftofstraightradio.com if you have any recommendations for him. Want to talk to him about that. But Nathan, thanks so much for being back on the show, my friend. I appreciate your insight.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, Scott.
All right, everyone. Have a happy holiday season. We appreciate you. And 4 out of 5 stars. We recommend The Boys in the Boat right here from Left of Straight Radio. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Straight Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website, www.leftofstraightradio.com, for contests and other news and information. See you next week.